Hey guys and girls, I found this site for it. I'm gonna load it up now. Everyone's waiting on the press conference, so there's a lot of people waiting. So I'm guessing this is actually the source of it. This is not a media company. I was actually able to track down the source for it, so we're waiting right now. So I don't have to use like ABC News or anything. I've actually got the one directly from Queensland Police. You can see they're setting up. Just make sure this is on. Yep, guys, we're just waiting for the setup. They're just setting it up, as you can see. There's a link at the top of the chat if you want to do any background reading before this gets started. But basically, last year, the 12th of December, 2023, three people committed a siege against police officers who came to their property in Queensland and subsequently killed two police officers, Matthew Arnold and Rachel McCrow. They were considered, religious extremists and were very devout in their thinking, sort of like QAnon, that type of thing. Uh, Here we go. Oh, there was a media test right there. So it was a big deal down here. Today, they arrested someone um, in in Arizona in the United States, a US citizen. Wu says, I'm here watching ABC 24. Yeah. Do they have this even up yet? Looks like Sky News is there. There's a whole bunch of people there. Let's see. We'll go full screen. Once they start, we'll go full screen and I will get out of here. But thanks for being here, everyone. This is the police press conference. December, what day in December? December 6th. Police press conference for the siege that was up in Queensland last year, almost a year ago today, up in Wieambilla. It was called the Wieambilla shootings, considered a terrorism event in Australia. So we're about to get underway sometime soon. They look like they're setting up the press conference stage. They got the little box in the corner of the screen. Well, you don't get a corner of the screen here. You get the most of the screen. We'll go full screen once they go. You get everything with ping. Yeah, I was able to quickly track it down. I was like, because I'll get in trouble if I use ABC. So I was like, well, we'll see if they've got their own streaming platform. And they do. So we were able to get that for you. Let's go, everyone. Thanks for being here, everyone. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Nights with Ping. It would be appreciated. This is like our second live stream of the night. We had a little break and came back to specifically watch this press conference. It's pretty abnormal to arrest someone in the US. I am wondering if it's the guy that was on the videos that a lot of the couple had these videos with an American on it, and I'm wondering if it's the same guy. Oh, thanks, Woos. Woos is watching on TV and here. Hey, Brenda Cress, thanks for being back. Oh, not that one. Yeah, we're just currently waiting for them to get underway. It should be pretty quickly. I wouldn't think they are gonna hang around for too much longer. Let's see. So it says here the Wieambilla shootings were a religiously motivated terrorist attack in Australia on the 12th of December 2022. It involved the killing of police constables Matthew Arnold and Rachel McCrow and neighbour Alan Dare at a rural property in Wieambilla, a locality in Queensland, Australia. Three residents. Oops. They keep doing tests. Three residents, brothers Gareth and Nathaniel Train, and Gareth's wife Stacey Train, were subsequently shot and killed by responding police. The shootings were labelled as Australia's first fundamentalist Christian terrorist attack. So it's why it's such a big deal. They took the lives of two police officers and their neighbour. Their neighbour was Alan Dare, and he basically just came out to see what was going on, and they killed him. So it was a really brutal shooting.
Okay. Alrighty, so well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending today to receive an update on the Wieambilla shootings investigation. I'm Cheryl Scanlon, and I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the Security and Counter-Terrorism Command with the Queensland Police Service. And with me today is Nityanna Mann from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Today I can advise that international cooperation has resulted in the arrest of a 58-year-old man in the United States as a major investigation continues following the murders of two police officers and a member of the public during a shooting incident in the Western Downs last year. Proactive work has been undertaken by the Queensland Police Service and the Federal Bureau of Investigation since the religiously motivated terrorist attack on December 12, 2022, identified information relating to a United States national. The ongoing investigations, as outlined in February this year, were to identify any residual threats posed to the Queensland and Australian community as a result of this religiously motivated terrorist attack, and the role played in the events at Wieambilla by anyone else associated with Nathaniel, Gareth and Stacey Train. This past week, investigators from the QPS Ethical Standards Command and Security and Counter-Terrorism Command travelled to Arizona, where they joined the FBI. On November 29, at Tucson, Arizona, 2 indictments were issued by a grand jury for interstate threats under the United States of America Code, Section 875C. One of those threats made relates to comments posted online in December 2022, inciting violence in connection with the incident at Wieambilla. On Friday, the 1st of December 2023 US time, FBI agents arrested a 58-year-old man in Heber-Overgaard, Arizona. Earlier today, 2 p.m. US time, the 58-year-old male appeared in court and has now been remanded in custody. Investigations by the QPS and FBI are ongoing in Arizona. This includes the execution of a search warrant on a remote property 30 kilometres north of Heber-Overgaard in northern Arizona. We know that the offenders executed a religiously motivated terrorist attack in Queensland. They were motivated by a Christian extremist ideology and subscribed to the broad Christian fundamentalist belief system known as premillennialism. The motivation of the United States national is still under investigation by the FBI. The attack involved advanced planning and preparation against law enforcement. We know that Gareth Train began following the 58-year-old man on the online platform YouTube around May 2020. Gareth and the man began commenting directly on each other's videos in May 2021. We have evidence to show the trains subsequently accessed an older YouTube account created by the same man in 2014 and viewed that content. Between May 2021 and December 2022, the man repeatedly sent messages containing Christian end of days ideology to Gareth and then later to Stacey. Evidence has been seized and is being analysed by the FBI. QPS will make formal requests to the FBI for any evidential material removed from the Arizona property for analysis. This includes the identification of any further contact between the trains and the man that is not currently known to QPS investigators. The matters surrounding this tragic event on December 12, 2022 remain both an ongoing criminal and coronial investigation being undertaken by the QPS. The State Coroner and the families of Constables Matthew Arnold, Rachel McCrow, and neighbour Alan Dare, along with other officers involved, have been briefed on the progress of this investigation today. Whilst I'm sure there are likely to be many questions, I'm limited to what information I can provide, given this is an ongoing investigation in 2 jurisdictions. Before I hand over to Nitayana Mann from the FBI, I would like to extend our personal thanks to our Commonwealth and international law enforcement partners for their ongoing assistance in this very difficult investigation. So, Nitayana.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Nitayana Mann, legal attaché at the FBI in Canberra. On behalf of the FBI, please allow me to once again express our sincere condolences to the members of the Queensland Police Services and the families of the constables who lost their lives nearly a year ago. We in the United States understand that what happened that day still resonates not only with all of Australia, but also with every man and woman of the FBI. The FBI values our international partnerships, and we took on the duty of assisting this investigation with the highest rigor, commitment, and diligence it so rightly deserved. The FBI has a long memory and an even longer reach. From Queensland, Australia, to the remote corners of Arizona, the FBI and the QPS worked jointly and endlessly to bring this man to justice, and he'll face the crimes, he's alleged to have perpetrated. Thank you very much for your partnership.
Are you able to explain the crimes he's accused of committing?
Look, what you have today is about the limit of what I can tell you, bearing in mind this matter was only closed this morning. There is still a long way to go on this investigation. So the details that I've been able to give you today are as recent as I can give you, given our officers are still there and still on the ground in Arizona as we speak.
Is there an extradition being sought, or is that?
Look, these matters are in connection with the online activity. As I said, those matters need to follow through. As I said, search warrants executed, evidence seized. We have a long way to go, and that's a question I can't answer.
Just in the course of this investigation, what other suspects have been identified and remain at the centre of attention from police here and abroad?
Look, I can't comment further on the matters that the FBI are investigating, but certainly here in Australia, a considerable amount of work by my command in cooperation with other state jurisdictions. Every single line of inquiry of any contact to these individuals has had to be run out, and that's about that residual risk. And to date, there is nobody else connected here in Australia that we've been able to uncover, but I'm terribly grateful for the cooperation, the technical expertise, but also of our partners internationally to follow through on this particular line of inquiry, which is one of the contacts of the trains that was detected during our investigation.
So just confirming, is this the Don that was referred to in the videos they uploaded to YouTube?
Look, it is in connection with the YouTube video. As I said, those matters are matters, only before the court this morning in the US. But that's the interaction that has emanated to cause this investigation.
Are you aware of any?
Sorry.
Are you aware of any previous charges laid in the US by the FBI in relation to Christian motivated terrorist offences?
Look, I'm not going to comment on that today. My job here today is to talk about where we are in this investigation. Those are matters for the US. I'm not going to comment on another jurisdiction and what may or may not have happened somewhere else.
You mentioned the online element. So is the understanding that the crime is committed here, or is the crime in the US? Where exactly is it?
So the FBI are investigating about offences that have been committed in that jurisdiction, but those matters are linked in the connection online to this particular matter. So the person has been charged for US offences and appeared in a US court.
So there's no arrest warrant here in Australia.
Not at this time.
So you couldn't extradite him anyway.
Look, it's early days. This is, as I say, these are US offences that are being dealt with in the US directly connected to the
Some
drones.
accessory charge is not being contemplated at this stage, even though that it could manifest in that.
Look, it's early days. This matter is before the coroner. As I've said, there is an ongoing investigation.
You said earlier the investigators were looking into residual threats posed to the Queensland and Australian communities. Has this person been in contact with any other Australian citizens?
Look, those lines of inquiry have been very much part of the work of the security and counter-terrorism here over the last 12 months since the event occurred, is to follow through every one of those lines of inquiry to ascertain who that contact is and whether there is any risk to anybody else. And at this point in time, those inquiries have been followed through, and there is no further risk that we can detect anywhere in those contacts.
Was this man known to the FBI? Was this man known to the FBI prior to QPS's involvement?
Look, those matters I'm not going to comment on here. Those are matters for the FBI. But
investigators, what they've told you about what they've seen at the property or what it was like?
look, I'm aware of those matters because obviously I have investigators and detectives over there from both of the areas, but I'm not going to provide that information today, bearing in mind this matter is under the control of the coroner here in Queensland. So certainly the information I've given you today has been discussed with the state coroner about the release of this and to the families because it is an important milestone in this investigation, but I'm not going to give any further detail about that today.
Was the arrest itself made at that property that you mentioned 30 kilometres northeast?
Yeah, the arrest's been made in the vicinity of that property.
Is that man in custody in Tucson?
Sorry?
Is that man in custody in Tucson, Arizona?
He was remanded in custody this morning, and so, yes.
Was he living off the grid, as it were? That's how the trains were described as people who dropped out from mainstream society. Was this neighbourhood or area in which the arrest was made similar to what we saw in the Western Downs?
Look, I haven't been onto the property. I haven't been there. I've been provided some briefing about it. Needless to say, there are some similarities, but I won't be going into that today because it's part of another jurisdiction's investigation.
Is there anything else you can tell us about the guy? Like he's appeared in court. Can he be identified?
Look, that's a matter that we can provide further information to you about. Leanne, you might want to comment on access to matters publicly in the US, and I'm sure some of your counterparts internationally would be able to access that kind of information. But for today, that's the detail I'm going to give you.
Is there anything that's happened, obviously, nearly a year out from the crime itself, 10 months or so from an update that you gave, understanding the complexity to get to this situation, was there something that triggered your ability to go over there and assist with the FBI to make this arrest, or has it purely just been a culmination of gathering intelligence?
It's about the thoroughness of an investigation. Every single line of inquiry, people that these individuals had, who they had contact with and why, including their online footprint. And once some of those matters on YouTube that have already been, aired and ventilated publicly, it's important to be very thorough about that. And so to be in a position where we are now, to actually travel to another jurisdiction, that comes with very thorough investigation, and important that we do that so that we are thorough in what we can ascertain as to the why these things actually happened.
Because the perpetrators directly involved in the murders died that day, that night. In terms of how the families are feeling, the victims' families and their emotions, how crucial is this arrest for their healing, if you like, for them to be able to sort of get on with things and know that some sort of justice is being delivered, even though this person wasn't directly involved?
It's extremely important. Our thoroughness and to give, the extent of investigation that we've gone to, it's really important for families and victims. It's important for the wider community to see that we don't leave any stone unturned with these things. This is a terribly tragic event with the loss of lives. We need to understand the why. And so none of this is possible without our partnerships and our relationships with others. And if it takes us across the world to do that, to have that reach, given the impacts of the internet and the online world, then that's the way it has to be. But I hope that after today, the community see some of what we've been able to do to date, and certainly for the families, because they've been contacted today, to advise that these are the lengths that we've gone to, and we need to do that. It's really important to give the community confidence, and certainly to give those families some appreciation of how they lost their loved ones.
Is he accused of encouraging the trans to commit violent attacks?
So part of what he's been charged with is about that conduct, about what happened online. As I say, it's only early days. He's only appeared and been remanded in custody this morning, but more will be understood about that as we move forward. But that's probably the limit of what I can brief you on today. So unless there's any other pressing questions.
Just interested to know, is there any indication of any other further arrests in relation to this man in the US? I know that previously there'd been talk of another wife of his potentially under the name Annie, anything like that being investigated?
Yeah, look, that's part of the investigation, is that who else then has this individual been in contact with? And I'm very conscious of another jurisdiction and the work they have ahead. So I'm not going to comment further on that. But that, again, is about the thoroughness of who is this individual in contact with.
Sorry to clarify, you said there was 2 charges around online incitement to violence?
So there were 2 indictments presented. One of them relates to online activity in connection with the Wieambilla matter.
And what was the other one?
I'm not going to comment on the other one, but there were 2 indictments were presented. One relates to the online activity to
Is that
Wieambilla.
other indictment not connected to the Wieambilla?
That's right.
Was there a fear that a similar attack would break out in the US?
Look, I think that, that's why we have security and counterterrorism type commands and activities, because, similarly with the trains, one of the very important things that had to happen in this job is to run out every line of inquiry to find if there is any other attack likely. Is there any other person we should be concerned about? It's about that residual risk, and every jurisdiction is challenged by that.
Would you like him to face justice in Australia?
Look, I'm not going to comment on that today. That's simply a matter for the courts. And as I said, this is...
Could we ask a question if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Do you know the details of the actual crime that he's been charged with in the US? I mean, other than say it's an indictment in relation to the Wieambilla, what is the actual crime?
I don't, but I will say that all of these matters, description of the property, description of the crime, identifiers, they will be made publicly available through the court in Phoenix. The subject made his initial appearance earlier today. All of those details will be made available by tomorrow. And I'll close by our highest priority in the FBI is to support the QPS in this investigation and the families of those officers.
Did he, I'm not sure the process, did he make an application for bail, or did he try to seek release?
It's too early. His initial appearance was just a few hours ago. He's allowed a certain period of time before making a decision with his attorney on whether or not he'll pursue bail.
Are we able to clarify which city in Arizona he's currently being held?
Tucson, Arizona is our FBI facility, and the courts will certainly have more publicly available information with details and descriptors that will clarify your questions.
That community where he was arrested is northeast of Phoenix, is that right? About 2 hours?
I do not know, sir. I am not familiar with the corners of Arizona either. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Well, there you have it. An arrest in the Tucson, Arizona. It sounds like he had his initial mention today. They probably have several court appearances coming up, and we will probably find out more information through Arizona publicly released information through court documents. I would say, like she said, that'll be available by tomorrow. So when we come back tomorrow night, which I'm not sure what time that'll be yet, due to Trish coming back tomorrow, um, I should have more information on what exactly he has been charged with. Like they said, at least one of them was in direct relation to uh, the shooting and massacre in Australia of the two police officers and the neighbor. The second charge that he was charged with via grand jury um, relates to something in the US. So we will find out what that is. That could be very interesting, considering now this guy has been charged with crimes in two different countries, really, or for crimes in two different countries. We will see. We'll see if Australia puts in an extradition request. And like she said, it's early days. He's only had his first court appearance. And we'll find out more as he trudges through the wheels of justice. Marilyn Lander says Trisha's coming back apparently tomorrow. I don't know for sure, but that's the last update I got told was she would be back on Wednesday in the US. So apparently tomorrow. I don't know though. Just don't count on it. I just, she could change her mind or something could come up, but that was the last update I was given. Was that tomorrow would be the last time we could do. Today would be the last time we could do 10 p.m. Eastern time. So we might have to look at doing 9 p.m. Eastern time for the future. Thanks for everyone for coming back. That press conference was courtesy of the Queensland Police and the FBI consult in Canberra. I knew that the FBI had one up there. There's a couple of US agencies. Guys, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. My cats are naughty. Wu says, what, back in the US? Yeah, apparently he has. Oh, yeah, Wednesday in the US, not Wednesday here. Wednesday here is today. Vegemite Smile says, did you know there is a Chinese restaurant in Para called Mr. Ping's? It's it's my cousin. It's his restaurant. No. That's pretty funny though. You'll have to take a photo sometime and let me know. I think that about wraps it up for tonight. Thank you for coming back and witnessing that press conference is very important and a great step forward for this particular case. And hopefully get more justice for Constable Matthew Arnold and Constable Rachel McCrow killed in the line of duty in Queensland during this siege of Nathaniel Train, Gareth Train, and Stacey Train. It was a pretty brutal incident. There's a couple of documentaries you can watch on YouTube. One is from 60 Minutes Australia. If you haven't seen it, it is worthwhile having a look at, and it is it'll show you just how frightening that night was. Some of the video comes from police body cam, so you can just see what kind of obstacles that they were up with that night. Yeah, it's quite late in the US now. I'm glad to report you that full update. That is a full update from the FBI and Queensland Police. I guess they're working together, which is great. Good to get this solved. I didn't even know the US was working on this case for us, but very cool. And until tomorrow, I will let you know what time tomorrow. Check out the community tab or my Twitter, Sunday with Ping on Twitter. But either one, we will look at getting back on, and we'll see if we can find the details from Arizona from his initial mention today in court in Tucson. And yeah, hopefully we can see what he's been charged with. We know one of them, we just don't know the other, and we don't know what the other one relates to. That could be very interesting. Maybe domestic terror charges, something like that. Who knows? Um, Vegemite Smile says maybe the US had evidence that the group might pose a threat on US soil as well. Very possibly. They did mention that in the questionnaires at the end, when they're having a question time at the end. They did mention whether, like, are they a threat over there, but they wouldn't go into it. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll try to dig up that information for you before we come back tomorrow. I want to thank Sean A. He says mushrooms. Yes, thank you for some money to the mushroom fund. I very much appreciate it. We are going to trial next year for Erin Patterson. I'll be covering that for you live from Melbourne, Supreme Court. Hopefully, it gets that far. I'm pretty sure it will. And we'll be live on the ground next year covering the mushroom murders. She's been charged with like a whole bunch of murder charges and attempted murder charges. And that'll be an interesting trial to cover. So until then, until tomorrow night, good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Remember to subscribe to this channel. More updates like this, more press conferences coming to you in the future. Until then, see you later, everyone. Good night.